Okay, and in relation to this last question we asked you about being consistent, your opponent who's running against you is currently a member of the city council. There's a lot of concerns about issues about him flip-flopping on a number of the issues as a councilman. Some examples are the DHL jet planes that fly over Riverside, and some electrical rate hikes, among other things. Also, your opponent was vocal against eminent domain for non-public use property, and now he continuously votes for it. How are you different from your opponent?
Well, I think I've already articulated in several regards how I've been consistent. I've been consistent, often against considerable opposition on my strong belief in fiscal discipline, of being really conservative, spending the public taxpayers' money and not running into debt or running into obligations that are pushed off on residents and taxpayers 3 or 4 years from now. And probably the principal illustration of my doing that would be when I was the sole opponent of a 50% increase in pension system here. I thought that many of the employees deserved that pension, but after it became known that there was a huge unfunded liability, that is, there wasn't the money to pay for these pensions, and that future taxpayers would have to bear the cost of these pension increases, I voted against the pensions. And because of that, there was a lot of opposition to me rising out of some unions here. But I stuck to my guns, and I didn't just stop there. We formed a committee with our treasurer tax collector, Paul McDonald, and our county assessor, Larry Ward. And that committee came up with some proactive ways to reduce that unfunded liability by hundreds of millions of dollars, such that now the county has saved $125 million in the last 3 years just because of my proposals, and has retained a very high credit rating now from all three Wall Street rating agencies. And that high credit rating is critical now, as the county needs to go out and borrow funds to build more jails, to build more public facilities, a $148 million public new communication system. That high credit rating, because of our low obligations, our pension obligations, and our retiree health care obligations, now make it possible for us to borrow money at much lower interest rates, and to get a lot more results, get a lot more infrastructure and improvements in the county at much less cost.
Okay, this next question is a pretty simple one. Why are you seeking re-election?
Well, I'm running for re-election because not just because we're entering tough economic times. That's a large part of it. We need some firm hands on the county's tiller. This is a big ship, the county, over nearly 20,000 employees, $4.5 billion budget each year, and we've expanded our services and our spending levels greatly. Now we need careful management to maintain those service levels, but not overextend ourselves so that we either have to cut service or increase taxes. We haven't increased taxes, and we haven't cut any services, and that's the way I like to keep things, and we need to manage that very carefully over the next couple of years, and I think I've shown I have the experience to do that. That's number one. Number two, with the rapid growth in the county, we need a supervisor who knows how to connect with the residents out there and hear from them and engage them in the public process, so that we can get consensus behind critical improvements. I think I've shown I can do that. Just as I mentioned, gaining successful cityhood effort for Wildemar, and in the process convincing residents out there who had repealed and had dissolved a park district that had formed, convincing them to revive that district and then to assess themselves to help pay for the district by a 56% margin, I think shows that I have the wherewithal to make the case with the citizens and engage them in important public improvements across the county. And we want to continue with those. There's a lot of programs underway here. Being a county board of supervisors members means you have to push a lot of balls forward all simultaneously. And you have to be out there meeting with the residents, meeting with key people, getting around to the meetings. I have the best attendance record of any of the board members. I'm there. I live in the county. I care about this county. I want a young person who's graduating from high school today. They may want to go off to college. They may want to join the Army. They may want to start a business. But I want them to have the feeling that this is a good county to return to raise a family, that they have a promise of a better job in the future, and it's a safe and beautiful and interesting place to be.
Okay, if a citizen has a concern with a county issue, how can that citizen address their concerns to the Board of Supervisors?
Access